Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about how to be consistent with your habits and routines, or how to become consistent with your habits and routines. Now, there are three big reasons we struggle to become consistent with our habits and routines, and they are forgetfulness, overwhelm, and lack of motivation. And so today I want to talk about the 7 tips that I use to get really consistent with my habits and routines. Now, many of you know, if you've watched my videos before, that I struggle with habits and routines. I grew up in an environment where that was actually frowned upon, to take habits and routines between the two homes of my parents. And so I have always struggled a lot with creating habits and routines. And these 7 tips have made all the difference in the world for me. And I know they will for you too. Now, before I get started, I just want to take a moment to clarify that the definition of consistent is not perfection. Some of y'all think that you have to do everything perfectly in order for it to count as consistent. And consistent just means the same over time. It means that you are clear about the expectation and you have some clear boundaries around this. It doesn't mean that it is perfect. Now, I have 5 kids. Lots of you know that. And I'm going to tell you that we have rules in our house about things like eating outside of the kitchen. So, for example, there's a rule in my house that nobody eats outside of the kitchen. Nothing but water is allowed outside of my kitchen dining area. Okay. But when I have a kid home sick, I might be giving them ginger ale on the couch, right? I might be letting them take crackers up to their room, to their bed because they're sick. All right. Now, that's not an inconsistency. Consistent doesn't mean it has to be exactly the same all the time. There is space for making adjustments or accommodations or modifications. So keep that in mind when we're talking about creating consistent habits and routines. We're not talking about them being perfect. Things will happen in your life. You may not be feeling well. You may have a big project at work. You might have a kid homesick from school. Things will happen that will interfere with your ability to do your habits or do your routines. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's called being human. All right. Remember, you are at Upcycled Adulting, and we are all about helping you upcycle your real life into your best life. So we're always going to be addressing those real life things that come up and how to be more realistic with yourself so that you can set yourself up for success and wake up every single day feeling purposeful, fall asleep every single night feeling proud of yourself. Even if you missed all your habits and routines that day, you still deserve to feel proud of yourself. So let's talk about how to set up consistent habits and routines. Number one is set alarms. Okay, here's the deal. I'm neurodivergent. I struggle a lot with time blindness. And so setting alarms is a major game changer for me. I need a reminder to do my routine or my habit if that routine or habit is attached to a time, which they're not always, and we're going to talk about that next. Because of that, I love the Routinely app. I use it consistently because I can set the times where I want them. And what I mean by that is that if I do the habit at a certain time on Monday and Tuesday and a different time on Saturday, I can set it up that way. I can also set it up that my routine or my habit doesn't have to be every single day, or that I don't have to have a reminder every day, right? This is really important for me because I work from home, and because I work out. So I work out doing strength training, and my body needs rest days. So being able to schedule days off and being able to schedule reminders around what day of the week it is and when different things are happening is really important for me, and making my schedule, making it all work so that I'm not stressed out and I'm not worried about it. And also so I don't feel like I'm cheating, because I'm a little hard on myself sometimes. I'm going to be honest. So I don't feel like I'm cheating when I skip that thing on a Saturday. You maintain your streaks. You still get to feel successful. You still have 100% success rate, even if you're scheduled off on your habit or your routine. And I absolutely 100% love that. And I love that on Tuesdays when I'm live in my Facebook group at noon and I shift when I do my lunchtime routine, that I can just set an alarm for that at a different time on Tuesday. and I still get my alarm. So I'm a big fan. Number two is to pair your new routine or your new habit with an activity that's not time related. This is super, super helpful for me because I have a flexible schedule, but a lot of times I do the same thing every day. And that means I get out of bed. So when I get out of bed, I do my morning routine. Whether I get out of bed at 8 or 9 o'clock, whatever that time might be, I do my morning routine whenever I get up. I eat dinner. I don't always eat dinner at the exact same time. It's usually sometime between 6 and 7. And after dinner, I have a routine that I do. So dinner kicks off that routine, and then I clean the kitchen, I make the coffee for the next day. I water plants, right? So I pair it with an activity rather than setting a time for it. And that can be really, really helpful for me. Again, because I struggle with time blindness and there are certain things that I'm doing every single day. So I just stack habits onto those things. That doesn't only work in the morning routine, that works all day long, just so you know. Um, because I know I tend to get a little overwhelmed, I like to make sure that I start really small. I am a Rome should be built in a day kind of person when it comes to my own life. So making the intentional effort, the conscious effort to start really small is really important for me. I try to minimize my exposure to other people's routines in particular, and certain types of habits because I know that it will tempt me to take on that 2-hour morning routine, even though that's not really what works for me. What we need to do instead with creating routines in particular is to start small. Start with what you're already doing and add only one thing to it. Once that one thing becomes part of the routine, you can add another thing. By the way, the 30-day thing is not true at all. It'll vary based on how big a time commitment that is, how foreign that thing is, how hard or easy you personally find that thing. So it could take you longer or a shorter period of time. For example, recently I added flossing into my nighttime routine, and within a week, it was right in there, no problem whatsoever. I've added other things to routines that have taken me months to really get into the routine. So be mindful of that. Start small, be patient with yourself, but only add one thing. And if you're just starting in this, make sure that that one thing is small, something like flossing, not something like 2 hours at the gym. Number four is to kick off every routine with a baby step. This is particularly important for those of you out there who are neurodivergent because of the tendency to think about the routine, to get anxious about the routine, and to become overwhelmed. Even if you've done the routine 100 times, this is a real thing that happens, or the feeling that the routine is going to take a really long time. And so you're like, I don't even want to, I can't even start that. It's going to take an hour. I don't have an hour right now. I need to get out the door. I like to kick off every routine with a baby step, something that's really simple, something I'm already doing, like eating dinner or getting out of bed. And I count that as a win, right? I ate dinner. Yay, me. The reason why it's important to count that as a win is because when you create a win, your body creates dopamine, and that dopamine helps you be motivated to do the next thing. So, kicking off your routine with a baby step, something super, super simple, right? I put my feet on the floor because it's morning. All right. Is like stacking dominoes in a row and knocking that first one over. Usually, once you've done that first, even if it's a tiny baby thing, I'm telling you, like putting on your tennis shoes, once you've done that first tiny thing, the rest of the things just tend to happen all on their own, right? And if you're struggling to get the rest of the things done, again, shorten it up, make it smaller, make it more doable for you. Number five is to pair your routine or your habit with something that you absolutely love. My husband has done this really, really well. He started exercising. He likes to walk on the treadmill in the morning and he records his favorite show and then he watches it while he's on the treadmill. And so he's created this reward system where he's like, I get to watch my favorite show on the treadmill. And that makes him really want to do it. I do this a lot of times with, for example, I'll binge Gilmore Girls or Desperate Housewives or Friends while I'm doing meal prepping. And because I'm enjoying the show I'm watching, it makes it so much easier and more fun. to do the other things. So make sure that you think about, how can I pair this with something I love, I'm already getting a lot out of, I already enjoy. You can do this through body doubling. You could call a friend and talk to a friend on the phone. You could actually, by the way, go to each other's houses and be present for each other's routines. There's all sorts of options here. But I like to think about, what do I really enjoy doing? And I'm telling you, I really enjoy binging old shows on Netflix. Listen, I don't know what it is, but I really enjoy it. Even though I can't really pay much attention to the show because I'm doing other things, I enjoy it. But I feel like it's a waste of time to do it otherwise, because I've already seen the show 4 times, right? So this is what makes me excited to do some of those routines and habits that maybe I wouldn't otherwise look forward to. Number 6 is get curious about your own rhythm. There are times of day that will work better for you to do different things. Because I'm a night owl, for example, it's easier for me to do meditation or gratitude in the nighttime than in the morning. My brain's not working like that in the morning. And so to really recognize that that is my personal rhythm and I need to honor that matters. Get curious about your rhythm. If something's not working, if a habit's not working, or a routine isn't working at a specific time of day, it might actually be because that time of day doesn't work for you. And maybe it used to work for you 10 years ago, but it doesn't now that you've had kids, or now that you have a different career, or now that you've just gotten older, right? Being curious about your rhythm and assuming that you are doing your best and that you just want to support yourself here and set yourself up for success really matters, and it makes all the difference in the world. And number 7, y'all, I'm going to say this so many times, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, again, she keeps saying that. Celebrate your wins. Recognize when you're being successful. Give yourself a pat on the back. Write it in your accomplishment journal. Be mindful of this. As an interesting piece of information, one is celebrating your wins will again kick off that dopamine, which will give you momentum to continue. But in addition, when you're celebrating your wins, you'll start to see more patterns and more trends, and it'll be easier to get curious about your rhythm. You'll be looking at it from the perspective of, oh, wow, look at me. I get everything done in my morning routine, but my bedtime routine, that's like a train wreck. So maybe I need to make that bedtime routine smaller and I need to make my morning routine bigger because that's what works for me. And I am super successful. This will help you to be mindful of your success, even when you're struggling with your new habits or new routines, which is completely normal because this is a change. And change can be hard. When you celebrate your wins, you remind your brain that it's okay, that it's a good thing, that there's nothing to be afraid of here. So remember to be consistently celebrating your wins. You are absolutely amazing and you deserve the life that you've been dreaming about. That life will be built on your habits and routines, the activities that you do consistently, the actions you take consistently. That's what's going to shape the life that you are trying to live. All right, don't forget to subscribe because I am all about helping you upcycle your real life into your best life by overcoming obstacles, creating healthy habits, and growing to accomplish your goals. Bye, everyone.